The internet has wasted many words on the subject of SJWs and diversity in casting in the new Disney Star Wars Cinematic Universe movies, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi. But there is one group that is severely underrepresented in these films: aliens. Almost all our major characters, and especially newly introduced characters, ones that weren't from the original trilogy, are humans. We don't see a lot of sentient alien life, even though we know there are heaps of intelligent extraterrestrial life forms in the Star Wars galaxy. These new movies don't fare too well with the alien Bechdel test either. Now, of course, such diversity doesn't matter since in our world there is no alien life, as far as we know. But in the Star Wars universe there is, and thus Star Wars movies should reflect the diversity of the universe they exist in. Also, diversity and acceptance of others and fair representation of others is important in fictional worlds as well, even if it doesn't involve the human race and gender and culture. We can see this in many other stories, particularly children's films that have animals or toys or even emojis. In The Lord of the Rings, we see humans, elves, dwarves and hobbits, eagles, and even trees all working together. They are mostly non-human characters, but the lessons of acceptance and diversity are still applicable to us in our daily lives. Again, you see this in children's TV shows such as Arthur, SpongeBob, and even Sesame Street. Yeah, Bert and Ernie are freakish puppets, but their lessons can apply to us and our interactions with fellow humans. And all this is assuming we never do find intelligent extraterrestrials. One of the things fans love about the Star Wars franchise are all the wonderfully designed alien creatures. But in these new movies, we seem to be stuck following all these damn human characters. For all the criticism of George Lucas and the prequels, they are teeming with all sorts of wonderful alien creatures and civilizations. Sure, many of these are caricatures of racist stereotypes, but they are aliens nonetheless. While the Empire was not exactly full of aliens, Palpatine was happy to work with non-humans. He's worked with the fish people of the Trade Federation, this blue guy, and General Grievous, a robot with reptile organs. Now, you could argue he was using them, but don't forget his Sith apprentice, Darth Maul. He ain't human. The dude's got horns. There is nothing in the dark side that means it must be racist against non-humans specifically. Look at the Jedi in the prequel series. Sure, humans are quite common, but we see many non-human Jedi. There's even a Twi'lek Jedi. Among the most senior Jedi Council, we see several non-humans such as Cross-Legged Guy, Conehead, and Yoda. And Yoda is the bestest, most powerful, and wisest of the Jedi. Don't forget the Clone Wars animated movie. One of the main characters is Ahsoka, a young Togruta girl who is Anakin's apprentice Jedi. To illustrate this point further, let us compare the Ewoks and the Porgs. Both of these are cute alien creatures designed for merchandising. But in Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks are a somewhat intelligent race, are a pivotal part of the story, and play an important role in the fight to destroy the second Death Star. The Porgs, meanwhile, are dumb animals that have no impact on anything. The Resistance, while a lot more diverse with gender and race, are a lot less diverse than the Rebellion was in terms of alien species. There aren't many non-humans in the command structure of the Resistance. You do have Admiral Akbar, but he's a leftover from the original trilogy, and he gets blowed to smithereens anyway.
It's a trap!
Why couldn't Admiral Holdo be a non-human female? Nien Nunb is one of the few Resistance members to survive the events of The Last Jedi who isn't a human. Again though, he isn't a new character, being another leftover from the original trilogy. Are there any Resistance non-human members who are under the age of 40? Why do all these Force users need to be human? It does make sense for Kylo Ren since he comes from the Skywalker lineage. But Rey is a nobody, so she doesn't need to be a human. Same thing with Supreme Leader Snoke. how many new non-human characters do we have in the new movies? And remember, we're talking sentient creatures, not pogs or rathars or silver foxes. There are a handful of aliens like the island caretakers and the junk dealer, but the only real character is Maz Kanata, and they ignored her in The Last Jedi, giving her one tiny scene. She was sidelined even worse than the black guy. It's worse in the prequel. Not those ones, I mean Rogue One. All our heroes are a bunch of humans, except for the robot. No aliens. This is even more egregious considering the time the events of this film take place in. The First Order are Nazi fascists, so it might seem right that we don't see many First Order non-humans. But then that should only mean even more of the rebellion resistance should be non-human. So where are all our sentient alien beings? Was there some massive genocide of non-humans during the Empire's reign or after? Did the New Republic do this? But no one ever really mentions this genocide. Is it ignored because no one cares about ethnic cleansing of Wookiees or Calamaris? Even looking at the publicity photo and trailers for the upcoming Han Solo movie, there looks like some human diversity, but aside from Chewie, who has to be there, I don't see many alien species. And I didn't even touch on the casting issues where all the aliens are portrayed by human actors and no alien actors were hired. Disney was reluctant to have a white girl kiss a black man, except on the forehead. So I'm guessing they would be very reluctant to have an interspecies romance between two consenting beings. Certainly Twi'lek females are found sexually attractive by many other life forms. Maybe Rey could have been a hot Twi'lek, or a Wookiee. Why couldn't Finn be kissed by an Ithorian instead of Rose? Or Rey get busy with a Hutt? I mean, Jabba dressed the captured Leia in a sexy bikini, so, you know, the finding of a human female sexy by a Hutt isn't that weird. And, you know, maybe Hutts have their own advantages. This isn't so weird and would hardly be groundbreaking. I can think of one other movie that had a human falling in love with a female from a sexy alien species. This little film called Avatar? You know, the highest grossing film of all time? To compare Star Wars with the MCU movies, in the Guardians of the Galaxy films, you have a will they, won't they romance between a human and a green woman. And other interspecies relationships. Although in that movie, you have a group of people of various life forms, but the leader is still the human, who happens to also be a white man. What about Chewbacca? He's a legend, even going back to when he helped Yoda in Revenge of the Sith, not to mention the incredible part he played in the events of the rebellion. But in the new movies, he's gone back to being on the sidelines. This is especially the case with The Last Jedi, where he just sits on the Falcon doing nothing but getting annoyed by penguins. Especially after when in The Force Awakens, he severely wounded Kylo Ren. Of course, in that movie, we get the condescending nurse speaking to him like he's a 6-year-old, and not a veteran hero of the liberation struggle. He was killing stormtroopers when you were still in medical school. Does he even own the Millennium Falcon now? Surely his life debt to Han is paid, so now he is free, but he's basically driving Miss Daisy Ridley. One can only hope we never make contact with intelligent alien life, because given how aliens are underrepresented in the Star Wars Cinematic Galaxy universe, we have shown we are not ready to treat extraterrestrial sentient beings as equals. Oh yes, if you feel the need to point out that this is a galaxy far, far away, so these aren't technically human beings, I know.